Alright, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be another POV from Charlotte. If you watched the last one, this is going to look a little bit familiar, but I actually recorded two videos this day. So while you might recognize some of the spots, this is going to be a very different concept. In this video, I'm going to be using a Portra 400 recipe for the Fujifilm X-Pro 3. If you have any of the X-Trans 4 sensors, this recipe will work perfectly for you. If you have a different camera, you can go to Fuji X Weekly and look up a similar recipe for your sensor generation that will work great. Link in the description for that. But that aside, the idea behind this video is to see how this film simulation works. So these are going to be all JPEGs straight out of the camera. Fujifilm is known for the JPEG, so I think this is going to be really interesting. There are no adjustments made to any of the images in this video aside from cropping or super basic exposure adjustments that you would do to any image just to get it looking how you want. That said, the camera does a really good job of exposing the images while you're just walking around and shooting, so any adjustments are going to be super minimal. But without any further ado, let's hop into the POV. So for these first couple shots, I'm not really looking for anything in particular here. I'm just kind of testing out how this film simulation handles the blues and the sky and the reflections and all that. So again here, just testing out how this simulation handles the yellow and the pipes here. It is quite a bit different. It's a lot warmer, a lot more green than how I normally edit, but that's the whole point of trying out a new film simulation like this. So. This parking garage was kind of an interesting find because of all the shadows being cast by the early morning sun here. I actually ended up getting kicked out by a security guard, but not before I grabbed a couple of shots of the arrows on the ground. I would have really liked to see some subjects in these photos, but as it was really early in the morning in downtown Charlotte, there wasn't a ton to work with, so I did the best with what I had. This one I was lucky enough to capture as it was happening in front of me. As you can see, there's still not a lot of people out, so it probably would have been a long wait to get something similar. This location is right on Tryon Street in downtown Charlotte. If you're familiar with the area, it's right by the Met Museum and the Art Museum. I really like the shadows that these cones were casting on the ground and wanted to frame some subjects with them. Here you can get a really good example of how this film simulation kind of turns white or light colors, a more warm or green tone. I'm not a huge fan of it personally, but it is true to how Portra 400 film handles colors. This is one of those times in a street photography session where you just kind of have to embrace looking like you've lost your mind a little bit for the sake of the shot. So this video was actually recorded around the holidays a few weeks ago, and I was able to get this janitor kind of working in this fancy building with all the decorations around him, which I was a big fan of, especially for the time of year. This is probably my favorite location and image set from the day from a color standpoint. Like I mentioned at the top, I usually use a less saturated and a cooler kind of color palette for my images that I post and use, but I really liked how the Portra 400 handled the rust color of the grates in front and the shadows here, so big fan. This set here is kind of a cool teaser for a video I have coming out soon on using objects in your environment as foreground elements. Faisal Westcott, who is a photographer I really look up to, recently made a video talking about this, and I'm going to do kind of my own spin on it. But as we come up to the end of this video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Really enjoyed putting this one together and playing around with this Portra 400 film simulation. If you want to see more like this in the future, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what film simulation you want to see featured next on here. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.